I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. We find ourselves now, 4 days away from the Jaguar preseason opener Saturday night. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I will tell you, we will go to Kansas City later in the week. My buddy Seren Petro, Sports Radio 810 NKC. I texted with him earlier, just getting a lay of the land from the Chiefs' perspective here on preseason game number 1. He said historically, now it could change, but historically, Andy Reid does play his starting offense about a series in the first preseason game. I was of the opinion that we probably would not see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce Saturday night. And granted, even if they play, you're not going to see much of them. But if what Andy Reid has done in the last, several years holds to form, we might see Mahomes and Kelce on Saturday night for a series. So get to the stadium early on Saturday would be my best advice. But look, we'll talk about that game. We'll go out to Kansas City later on in the week. Preseason week 1 begins all over the NFL Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as all 32 teams are in action. As far as the guest lineup tonight, we got a lot to get into. Training camp had a day off today. They're right back on the field tomorrow, right back on the field Thursday to get ready for that Kansas City game on Saturday. My buddy Mike DeRocco, D-Rock, ESPN.com, will join me in less than 15 minutes or so. We'll talk about the first 2.5 weeks of camp, what we've liked, what we didn't like, some surprises. I thought there were a couple of surprises today on a day off, to be honest. I'll get to those in a moment. But we'll have Mike DeRocco coming up here in less than 15 minutes. And at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, it's that time of year. Fantasy drafts are starting to crank up. They'll really crank up in the next couple of weeks. And my guy Dave Kluge, footballguys.com, he's one of my go-tos when it comes to getting your fantasy team ready. I'm going to talk about the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne, Brian Thomas. Where are those guys going in the early fantasy drafts? And if you have a top 5 pick, what's your strategy? What's your strategy for the first couple of rounds? We'll do a little fantasy talk. Dave Kluge, footballguys.com. That comes up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. We're jam-packed. We're glad you're with us here on a Tuesday night in the city of Jacksonville. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
It's a big night, ladies and gentlemen of Northeast Florida. It's a big night because it's a big night anytime you get the first preseason depth chart released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I have it right here. I will go over it in depth coming up in a matter of moments, give you my thoughts and my perspective. I got thoughts and perspective on something else, though, before we get there. Couple of surprises earlier today. Gregory Jr. released on the injured waived list. If he clears waivers, he'll revert back to IR. And the Jaguars cut Adam Gotsis earlier today. So Adam Gotsis gone, Gregory Jr. gone. 2 guys that played in the regular season last year. Adam Gotsis played a lot in the regular season last year. I was somewhat surprised by both moves, particularly Adam Gotsis, but that goes back to what I've talked about the entire offseason. If you're willing to release Gregory Jr. and Adam Gotsis, 2 guys that made your 53-man roster last year, and you're willing to waive them prior to the first preseason game being played, it's a deeper football team than it's been in years past. There's more competition for those coveted 53 roster spots here in Jacksonville than there has been in years past. I've told you guys, defensive line, we saw it already today with Gotsis. I think offensive line, secondary, Gregory Jr. is an example of that. Wide receiver and probably safety are the ones that jump right to mind. They're going to cut guys, them being the Jacksonville Jaguars, are going to cut guys that you know. They're going to cut names that you're familiar with, and they're going to cut guys that have played regular season games for them. Because that's what happens when you improve the overall depth of your roster. It becomes harder to keep guys when you bring in suitable, if not better, replacements. And the Jaguars have done that. General Manager Trent Baalke has done that. This team is better. This team is deeper. And there is much more competition for this 53-man roster than, in my opinion, there's been since Trent Baalke arrived. And he's coming into year 4 as the general manager here in Jacksonville. It's a great thing to see. I love it. I don't love it for Adam Gotsis, and I don't love it for Gregory Jr. Again, the Gotsis one surprised me a little bit, but you draft Jordan Jefferson, right? You draft Mason Smith. You bring in Eric Armstead. You get Devon Hamilton. You got Roy Robertson Harris, Jeremiah Ledbetter. I mean, you got guys now in the middle of that defensive line that you did not have in years past. That brings me to the depth chart that the Jaguars released earlier. And with this depth chart comes some interesting thoughts that I have. It's an unofficial depth chart, all right? It's a depth chart that's released on the 6th day of August. I think they're required to do it before preseason game number 1. I don't necessarily know how much stock I would put into some of this, just based solely on what I've seen. Now, again, there are rules as to what I can and cannot tell you as far as who's lining up where and who's lining up with whom. But I'll be flat out honest. It was a surprise that Mac Jones is already number 2 instead of C.J. Beathard. Not a surprise that will ultimately be the case by September, but I was surprised Mac Jones was quarterback 2 on this depth chart on August 6th, based on what I've seen. So your starting offense, according to this right here, what the Jaguars released earlier, this is a 2 tight end situation. You would have Gabe Davis, Cam Robinson, Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff, Anton Harrison, with Evan Ingram, Luke Farrell. Interesting. Luke Farrell is ahead of Brenton Strange. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, and Brian Thomas. If you keep 6 wide receivers, which is the number we're all talking about, right? 6. The 3 wide receivers on the quote-unquote second team are Devin Duvernay, yes. Parker Washington, yes. And according to this, your 6th wide receiver would be Elijah Cooks. I probably agree with that right now. Your backup offensive lineman, Walker Little is listed as the backup left tackle. Blake Hance, your backup left guard. Luke Fortner, your backup center. Cooper Hodges, your backup right guard. And Javon Foster, your backup right tackle. Of course, Foster is the rookie from Missouri. I don't have any issues there. Tank Bigsby, obviously, is your second-team running back. Dearness Johnson is your third-team running back. Among guys that I guess it was interesting where they were placed, Seth Williams and Tim Jones are your third-string wide receivers, along with Brevin Easton. And then Austin Trammell, Denzel Mims, and Joshua Cephas are your fourth-team wide receivers. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but I would have thought Cephas would have been a little higher in the wide receiver food chain than he is on this first depth chart of the preseason. Quickly to the defensive side of the ball, the defensive starters listed today. Devon Hamilton, Eric Armstead, Joshua Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker. Absolutely. Foye Oluwakin. And then at the middle linebacker position, this is laughable. Chad Muma or Devin Lloyd. Now, give me a break. It's Devin Lloyd. Now, at the Sam linebacker position, remember they're going 4-3 this year. It's a change. That is where I believe Chad Muma probably is your starter. It says Chad Muma or Yasir Abdullah. In the secondary, Ronald Darby, Tyson Campbell. Your starting nickel, Christian Braswell. Interesting. With Andre Sisco and Darnell Savage listed as your starting safeties. So what does that mean? Well, it means Antonio Johnson is listed as a backup safety right now. Your backup D linemen are Jeremiah Ledbetter, Roy Robertson Harris, and Trevis Gibson. Your backup corners are Monteric Brown and Amane Aruare. That is somebody I want to talk to, number 27 on the Jaguar roster. We've spent so much time talking about the young guys the Jaguars drafted. This kid, Amunuware, has come in and made a pretty nice impact very quickly. He's getting a lot of playing time out there. That's somebody that I want to talk to. Now, in releasing Adam Gotsis and Gregory Jr. today, the Jaguars added a couple of guys, including safety Adrian Amos. Now, Adrian Amos, and they also added Jonathan Marshall, a defensive tackle. Amos has started like 130 games in the National Football League. He's 31. He was in Green Bay for many years alongside Darnell Savage. Well, the Jaguar safety position is an interesting one because I think Amos, who was signed today, and Terrell Edmonds, who I'm actually going to talk to tomorrow after Jaguar practice, you're talking about two guys that combined have started well over 150 games in the NFL. But I think both guys are probably going to be struggling to make the 53-man roster. We'll see about Dewey Wingard's injury and how that affects things. But you got a lot of experience at safety, a lot of NFL games under your belt at safety that are just simply battling for a 53-man roster spot. I find that very interesting when it comes to this depth chart. Your backup corners, Jarian Jones and Tavon Campbell, along with Trey Flowers. Now, Christian Braswell being listed as the starting nickel catches me off guard a little bit, but I will tell you, Braswell's had a nice camp. Again, I don't know if Jarian Jones, if that's his natural position or if he's better outside, but I like what I've seen out of Christian Braswell. So take the depth chart for what it is. It's something to talk about. It's a conversation piece. Again, the Jaguars have to do it before preseason game number 1. I don't know how often or how much that will look like the actual depth chart that comes out in about a month, but certainly some things on there did stick out to me. If you have any thoughts on the depth chart, I'm sure you've seen it. Hit me up on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010. I'm not positive about this. I'm going to consult with Dylan Denmark during the break here. Although we never really break here on Hacker After Dark. We're constantly going from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. But we may have a giveaway. And if we do have a giveaway, and again, I'm going to consult with Dylan Denmark here on this, that giveaway is going to happen, I would say, sooner rather than later. And trust me, it's a good one. I think you want to stay tuned. Coming up next, Mike DeRocco. We lovingly call him D-Rock. ESPN.com. We'll talk Jags training camp. We'll preview Saturday night and more next on a Tuesday in the city of Jacksonville. It's Hacker After Dark.
Now, a 1010XL Summer Olympic Update brought to you by USAPark.net Airport Parking.
Westwood One Sports presents this special update on the 2024 Summer Games. 6 players scored in double figures as the U.S. men's basketball team beat Brazil 122-87 to advance to the semifinals. The Americans will face Serbia on Thursday. The other semifinal pits the host nation France against Germany. The U.S. women's basketball team will meet Nigeria in the quarterfinals tomorrow, with the Americans looking for their 59th straight Olympic win. Tip-off is at 3:30 Eastern. One of Team USA's biggest stars, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, led a trio of American women into the final of the 400-meter hurdles. McLaughlin-Levrone cruised to the top spot in her heat, while Jasmine Jones and Anna Cockrell each took second in their heats to advance. And Noah Lyles is back on the track tomorrow in the semifinals of the men's 200 meters. Lyles is trying to become the first man since Usain Bolt to win both the 100 and 200 at the same Summer Games. No American has done it since Carl Lewis. With this Summer Games update, I'm Ryan Radke, Westwood One Sports.
What's wrong?
My travel rewards card didn't earn enough miles for my vacation.
Are you crying? Are you crying because of that other credit card?
Uh-huh.
Well, switch to the Capital One Venture card. Venture lets you redeem miles on any travel purchase.
Really?
Yep, and you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every single day. The Capital One Venture card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
At Lowe's, save big every day. Right now, get a free pneumatic nailer when you buy a pallet of Metabo HPT nails. And there's more. Save 10% on select shingles when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
I am dedicated. I am TNT.
With Team in Training, you will reach your best physical self so blood cancer patients can reach theirs. Change your life by joining a marathon, half marathon, triathlon, or a cycle event, and you'll change the lives of blood cancer patients.
I am committed. I am TNT.
After 600,000 participants and almost $1 billion raised for treatments, TNT has helped the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society make a significant impact in the advancement of blood cancer therapies that save lives every day.
I am making a difference. I am TNT.
Join TNT. Expand your circle of friends to be part of a very special community. Train with world-class trainers and have the chance to be part of the most exciting endurance sports events in the country. Or train on your own schedule with TNT Flex. Join TNT and fundraise while you train and take part in getting us all closer to a world without blood cancers.
Join TNT now. Go to teamintraining.org.
For a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 August 24th at Daytona, answer this question. Who has the most victories in the Coke Zero Sugar 400? Text the driver's last name to 641-1010.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Establishing a regular sleeping pattern is crucial for your well-being. This includes going to bed at roughly the same time every night and waking up around the same time every morning. You may even consider turning off all electronic devices an hour before bedtime. Ever wonder why you can't fall asleep after staring at your phone right before bed? Studies show that the light from your phone actually decreases melatonin production, therefore causing disruptions to your sleep throughout the night. Get some rest before the big game. Go Jags.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Hey gang, Hicken here for Zero Res. Man, it is hot outside this time of the year. Many of us are staying inside or going to the pool. Well, my friends at Zero Res are also heating things up. As you know, Zero Res does a great job of cleaning carpets and rugs. But they also clean luxury vinyl planking, tile and grout, fine stone and hardwood floors. And right now, the hottest price of the year, 25% off all hardwood cleaning. That's 25% off tile, LVP, fine stone, and hardwood floors. Zero Res, man, spell it forward. Zero Res, spell it back. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Get your athletes game day ready with Injury Care Centers. Kick off the upcoming sports season with their $69 Peak Performance Physical. It identifies strengths and weaknesses in muscles and body mechanics, tapping into the power of AI technology. Help your athlete run faster, throw harder, and jump higher at Injury Care Centers. Elevate their game from the inside out. Call Injury Care Centers today, 904-783-0008. That's 904-783-0008.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
What city has hosted the most Super Bowls? The answer coming up.
Southern Oak Insurance knows that you want to save money on your homeowner's insurance. So why not try some old-fashioned common sense? Ask your Southern Oak agent about our roof replacement schedule. It will save you money.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Miami has hosted the Super Bowl 11 times. New Orleans has had 10.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Wondering what you're going to do for dinner tonight? Southern Steer Butcher is a full-service butcher that offers take-and-bake side options that are oven-ready.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. Mike DeRocco, ESPN.com, less than 90 seconds away. I have met with Dylan Denmark, and we have come to the understanding that, yes, indeed, we have something to give away. We are givers here on Hacker After Dark. It's what we do to the hard-working men and women of Northeast Florida. And right now at 8:23 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, August the 6th, I understand there's a pro football game, Everbank Stadium on Saturday night, between the defending world champion and your Jacksonville Jaguars in week 1 of the preseason. And if you would like to go, be caller 4 right now at 641-1010, and Dylan Denmark, courtesy of Hacker After Dark, will put you in that stadium. 2 tickets, caller 4, 641-1010. If you want to go see Jacksonville and Kansas City, you can get your tickets right now. Pair of them, two tickets. Caller 4, 641-1010. Mike DeRocco, ESPN.com, talking Jags, training camp, and more now on Hacker After Dark. Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Saturday night, Kansas City and Jacksonville. Everbank Stadium to open the NFL preseason. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. The Jaguars going through training camp right now. They're already 2 weeks in to camp. A guy that's been down to every practice is our friend Mike DeRocco. We lovingly call him D-Rock, ESPN.com. And D-Rock always joins us here on Hacker After Dark. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Hacker. How are you?
Mike, we're good. Thank you for the time. And all right, 2 weeks into camp. We'll kind of take a individual look here in a moment. But in totality, what you've seen through 2 weeks of practice, how do you believe this team is shaping up heading into the preseason opener?
You know, I like what I've seen defensively, especially in that secondary. It was sort of a mystery for all of us, kind of what they were going to look like, what the rotations were going to look like, and, how were the players going to adapt and accept this attacking, aggressive, man coverage defense that Ryan Nielsen was bringing over. But, all the players that we've spoken with have raved about it. Devin Lloyd said the other day that it's complex, but it's simple, if that makes any sense. But it seems to be making it a little bit more black and white in terms of, especially for some of those linebackers, what their responsibilities are on, each snap. But the secondary, the man coverage has been very impressive. It's been pretty tight all camp, and it's not like these receivers are running wide open all over the place. That's partly the reason for the offense's struggles in the first 3 or 4 days is I think they were adjusting to seeing that for the first time at that level and that much of it. So I think this defense has got a chance to be pretty good. Again, it's early. It'll be interesting to watch Saturday night against the Chiefs. I'm not sure. I don't think anyone has reported just how much Pat Mahomes and the starters are going to play, if at all. But it'll be good to get a first look at that group. But, Ronald Darby, I think, has had a heck of a camp. Tyson Campbell's had a really good camp. Cisco had 3 interceptions the other day. So, he's having a good camp, which is something really good to see for a defense last year that had a lot of trouble in that last 5-6 games, really making plays and taking the ball away. So I've been really impressed with what I've seen out of that secondary.
Yeah, talking to my guy in Kansas City, Soren Petro, Sports Radio 810. Historically, Andy Reid will play the offensive starters for one series in preseason game number 1. So that's the expectation, is that Mahomes, Kelsey, and the first offense will get one series on Saturday night here in Jacksonville. We'll see if that holds true to form. Mike, I want to talk a lot about the Jaguar offense. That's certainly where we're going to spend a majority of this. But you mentioned the defense, and I got to tell you, maybe it's a little thing, maybe it isn't. But every time a play is made by a DB or a linebacker, man, the celebration, the attitude, I think that was in large part why the offense got a little feisty in a practice on Monday at the Miller Electric Center, because the defense was kind of eating them alive a little bit. The attitude that Ryan Nielsen has brought to that defense, to me, Mike, noticeably different than it has been in the last couple of years.
Yeah, without question, the energy level is pretty high. And, a lot of times you see that at the beginning of camp, because it's exciting and getting back, the enthusiasm for the season, enthusiasm finally, getting to practice and getting really to put what you've learned, in the classroom on display on the field there. But it usually kind of wanes a little bit after the first, week or so of camp. Not so here. That energy level is really, really high. And that's a testament to Ryan Nielsen, like you mentioned. But it's also a testament to this defense sort of owning a lot of the issues that they had last season, especially, the end of the year, the inability to really kind of stop the run. They gave up, I think, 45 yards more per game rushing than they did when they were 8-3. So, they weren't taking the football away a ton at the end of the season last year. I think it was 18 in the first 9 games and then 9 interception or 9 turnovers after that. So that's not real good, but they've been turnover machines in camp so far. So I think, the important thing is you get the new system in, you see some success, and that sort of feeds on itself. That keeps the energy level high, which then keeps the success level high. So it's been interesting because I just expected it to wane at some point, and it hasn't yet. And that, I think, is a good sign. And I'm not saying that this is like the 2017 defense all over again. I just think we're going to see a better defense than we saw in the second half of last season.
Mike DiRocco, ESPN.com, here with us on Hacker After Dark. D-Rock, final defensive thought. And look, you start rattling off the guys, the new guys. Eric Armstead, who hasn't even practiced yet. Jerrion Jones, Mason Smith, Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, Trevis Gibson. I mean, you can go on and on and on about the new guys that are going to make the 53-man roster. You combine that with the almost entirely new defensive coaching staff, including a new DC. Yet, as we've talked about, it seemed to have gelled pretty quickly. Now, I don't want to get ahead of the story here, but to me, that's almost one of the biggest surprises of camp so far.
Yeah, because sometimes it does take a while to get to that point. Now, the thing you have to watch and wonder about is everything's great right now in camp. You know what's coming for the most part when you're working your training camp practices. You know, the offense generally knows what the defense is running. Defense generally knows what the offense is running. You know, that changes as we get later into camp and we start seeing, you know, a little bit of game planning going on and you know, a better idea of what the roles are going to be. But the thing that you have to be careful about is what happens when they face some adversity. What happens if they go down to Miami in the opener and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are running all over the place and they can't get to Tua, and, you know, the Dolphins have 28 points in the first half. You know, how do they respond after that? Because that's a big part of this as well. We saw at the end of last season that this defense, this team, didn't respond well at all in those last 5-6 games. I'm not Josh Hines Allen after the season saying, hey, we all were waiting around for a spark and none ever came. So that's what I want to see, honestly, and we won't see it until the season starts. I want to see how they respond to some adversity. I want to see how they handle things when it's not going right. Because when you have players and they get into that situation and then the coaching staff doesn't have answers, that's when you wonder, okay, how are they going to handle themselves now? And we're going to see it in a little over a month. You know, September 8th, the opener. We'll see where they all are. But very, very optimistic that this defense is going to be much, much better than we saw last year.
No, I think it's a fair point. You know, switching gears to the offense, Trevor Lawrence did not start camp very, very well. I mean, let's be honest. That first Saturday practice, man, that was bad. But really since then, Mike, I mean, it's gotten considerably better, and the offense, dare I say, has looked very promising at times. I mean, what's been your thought on Trevor in particular so far?
Yeah, that's exactly what you hit it on the head. I mean, it was a start. And then the second week, I mean, I think those first 3 days of the second week, he was on fire. And he looked like the guy that we all expected to see. And it's camp is long. There are ups and there are downs. And you know, if people have been reading and paying attention, you know, Brock Purdy has struggled with some interceptions in camp as well. I think Jordan Love as well. I mean, it's always like that for the most part. And you know, the coaches get up there and they say, oh, you know, we're encouraging these guys to try some things that they wouldn't do in the regular season. Let's see what you can get away with, kind of stuff. But I've liked sort of the tempo that offense has run with this first 2.5 weeks of camp. I like the way the run game has looked. I was obviously, that was one of the two things that I think we all needed to see the run game be better, especially in short yardage. And when they did the short yardage day, I think the offense won that day. Goal line and short yardage. I thought the offense outplayed the defense there, which is a little bit of a surprise. But we still haven't seen the downfield aspect of this offense yet. And, you know, that's why they brought in Gabe Davis. That's why they drafted Brian Thomas Jr., you know, going downfield more. They've been concentrating more on the shorter, intermediate, quick stuff now. And I think as we get into the second part of camp, we're going to see that start to be more of an emphasis, the downfield stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to over the next 2 weeks.
A couple more from Mike DiRocco of ESPN.com. D-Rock, you mentioned Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas. You lump Christian Kirk into there. If you want to throw Duvernay, Parker Washington, Elijah Cooks as well. I mean, what's been your thought on the wide receiver room? And I think at the tail end of that room, Cooks, Cephas, you know, Tim Jones maybe, although I got to be honest with you, I think Tim Jones is probably behind Cooks and Cephas right now. How do you think that plays out with the 6th or 7th spots at wideout?
Yeah, you know, I think I did my pre-camp 53-man roster, and I think I had Tim Jones making it at the end because they love him as a blocker. They know that they're going to get help from him in that aspect. But I think the Parker Washington's had a really good camp too, but you know, like you said, I think it's going to be between those guys that you mentioned. And Elijah Cooks has really flashed at times during camp. The question is, you know, do they trust him enough, you know, as a blocker and on special teams, because 9 times out of 10, that sixth receiver is not going to be active on game day. But the interesting thing to me is with this receiver group, there's a really good mix of a hell of a lot of experience and a bunch of guys that aren't experienced at all. And it's going to be imperative that those older guys, and older is relative here, but like Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis, and to a lesser degree Devin Duvernay, kind of drag those young guys through. But what we have seen is a lot of those young guys getting a lot of reps with, the so-called ones, because of course, there's no depth chart right now, but getting a lot of work with Trevor Lawrence, getting a lot of work with Mac Jones, and Trevor getting a lot of work with some of those guys on the bottom end of that receiver group, because we saw last year what happens when you are forced to play young guys and they're not ready. And that was an emphasis for them this year, especially in offense. Get those young guys a lot of work so that if we have to rely on them, we're not going to fall on our face. That is exactly the thing that they've done in camp. But that wide receiver room, I think, has the chance to be one of those receiver rooms that by the end of the season, people are going to be looking around the league going, well, you know what? That's a top 10 receiver room right there.
I got to tell you, Mike, and he's usually lumped in with the wide receivers, Evan Ingram. I just think if he stays healthy, he's going to have a monster year. His offseason, I was amazed by him last year after he got paid. He's the first guy on the field. He's putting in, some of the most work of anybody on the roster. He's about to turn 30 years old, and I almost think his best football may be ahead of him. I am unbelievably high on Ingram coming into this season. What's your thought there?
Yeah, I mean, that's what he has done since the moment he's gotten here. He has been so consistent in terms of being one of the hardest working guys there, the guy that's out on the practice field before everybody else. He's got a routine that he goes through, and he does it every single day. His pregame routine is along the same kind of lines there. He almost gets a full workout in before kickoff even starts. He's been open about it. He's like, loved catching 114 passes, want to make some more plays down the field. Want to be a guy that can be used, in the seam, going to be a guy that could get that per catch average up around 10, 11, 12 yards maybe if things work out. That's the next step for him, is being somebody that they can use down the field. And he was hamstrung last year a little bit by the fact that Kirk was out in the second half of the year, and Parker Washington really wasn't sure what the heck he was doing. The offensive line was, I guess we could use the word terrible in terms of pass protection by the end of the season last year. So they had to get the ball out quick, and Ingram was the one guy that Trevor Lawrence trusted the most. So they asked him, hey, look, we need you to do the short, quick stuff, for the best. That gives us the best chance to win games. So he did it, didn't complain, but I think everybody's in agreement offensively. They want to get him the ball down the field. But I'm like you. He shows no signs of slowing down, and his numbers may not be the same. He may only catch 70 balls this year, but if he has that per catch average up around 10, 11, 12 yards a game, and he's got 7, 8 touchdowns, I think that'll be a really, really good year for him.
All right, Mike, as we wrap up, Saturday night, Kansas City and Jacksonville, give the fans maybe one on offense, maybe one on defense, somebody that might be under the radar, maybe is not talked about enough, but you think they're having a pretty good camp and fans need to keep an eye on Saturday night.
Wow. Defensively, the guy I'm really eager to see, and he's been having a really good camp, is Devon Hamilton. I mean, he looks like he did before he suffered the back issue last year, which he never quite recovered from. He has been hard to handle. And in those one-on-ones, he has really handled Mitch Morse, the center. The first day of it, he blew Morse up twice. Now, it's been a little bit more back and forth since then, for sure, but it was good to see, the Jags are excited about him, obviously, just because now they feel like they've got that guy in the middle that they were going to have last year, and it just never materialized. Offensively, someone having a good, I mentioned Elijah Cooks before, but this is going to be the chance for him to shine. He's going to have to prove that he can be a guy that they can rely on. He's had some big catches down the field in camp, and he's worked on the sideline pretty well, at times. So I want to watch him. I think we're going to see 2, maybe 3 drives out of the first team offense. And then after that, it's just going to be looking at these other guys. So I'll say Cooks offensively and Devon Hamilton for the 2 or 3 drives that we see him, defensively.
D-Rock, what do you have coming up on ESPN.com as we get ready for kickoff on Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm working on a story now. I mentioned it in the off-season storylines about all the guys they brought in, the 6 guys in free agency, and those are the guys that have the playoff experience, that have the experience of playing games under pressure down the stretch when you've got must-win games to make the playoffs, and how that can help this team. And working on a big Josh Hines-Allen feature that's going to run in a couple of weeks as well. And I'm trying to put together a Mac Jones feature too that might run the end of next week. So got a lot of stuff going on right now, Hack.
He's one of our favorites, Mike DiRocco of ESPN.com. D-Rock, know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out. I'll see you down there at camp later this week.
Looking forward to it, Hack. Thanks for having me.
Want more Jags? Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. Looking for more in-depth coverage of the Gators? Subscribe to the 1010XL Gators YouTube channel. Need your FSU fix? Well, subscribe to the 1010XL Seminoles YouTube channel. Your favorite team, one specific location.
So I had my weigh-in for Awaken 180 earlier today, officially down 84 pounds. Now, I started this thing on February 20th, so we're talking 5.5 months. I'm down 84 pounds. It's the best weight loss program I've ever been on. I can't say it enough. The food's great, the coaching is fantastic, and the results speak for themselves. I went on a bunch of diets. I went on a bunch of weight loss programs. None of them helped me. None of them saved my life. Awaken 180 has. It has completely changed my life for the better, and I cannot recommend them enough. If it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, make the call. 844-346-1800 or go online to awaken180weightloss.com. 84 pounds I've lost in 5.5 months. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it. Awaken 180 weight loss.
Jaguars fans, the 2024 NFL season is just around the corner, and we can't wait for you to be back at the bank. Your Jacksonville Jaguars are starting off the preseason going head-to-head with the Kansas City Chiefs Saturday, August 10th. Be at the bank as the Jags take the field. The Jaguars have won it! You won't want to miss a second of the action. Grab your tickets for the 7 p.m. kick by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We'll see you there.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
You don't think this would be a good moment to text somebody?
There's never a bad moment to share your opinion on the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Share your opinion
As soon as possible.
at 641-1010.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
For over 40 years, Play It Again Sports has served its customers with a winning, sustainable shopping model. Could say, we were recycling before recycling was cool. Save on quality used sporting goods for baseball, softball, lacrosse, hockey, golf, tennis, and more. Or sell us your gently used gear. We buy all sports, all seasons, and offer cash on the spot. Stop by Play It Again Sports today on Merrill Road near 295 or online at playitagainsports.com.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting. Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Well, preseason week number 1 in the NFL kicks off Thursday night, goes into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Of course, the Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs. Saturday night, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. I will tell you, and I do appreciate all the questions I've gotten, no fifth quarters in the preseason. We will kick off the fifth quarter on Sunday, September the 8th, with myself, the head coach Dave Campo, the Pro Bowler Leon Searcy. So fifth quarter returns when the regular season returns on Sunday, September 8th. But of course, you will hear all the preseason action right here on 1010XL, Kansas City and Jacksonville, Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Kansas City, Soren Petro, my guy in KC, Sports Radio 810. He'll join me later in the week. I was texting with him earlier. He said traditionally Andy Reid will play his starters one series, the offensive starters. So if he follows that, potentially you will see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce for one series on Saturday night. We will see if that ultimately does happen. There are a lot of people that you will not see in the preseason as coaches are beginning to make those announcements. As we head out to Arizona, Kyler Murray will not play in the preseason. I don't blame Arizona for that. Kyler Murray missed a majority of last year with a knee. Obviously, he hurt it the prior year. I wouldn't play Kyler Murray in the preseason if I was Arizona. Christian McCaffrey. This is an interesting one based on the conversation I'm about to have. He's dealing with a strained calf. He will not play in the preseason. I'm about to have Dave Kluge of footballguys.com on, one of the best fantasy football websites out there. We're going to talk about the Jaguar guys and where they're going in fantasy. But clearly, we're going to talk about Christian McCaffrey. Now, Denmark, you are a seasoned fantasy guy. Although I did give you the beating in the 10-10XL playoffs last year.
1 week.
Not sure if you remember that or not.
1 game.
Strained calf, Christian McCaffrey, August 6th. That concern you if you have the number 1 pick in a draft?
No. Not right now. Not right now. If it's still an issue 3-4 weeks, then we got a problem.
Well, see, the problem is, what if you're drafting, on Saturday like I am, and I have the number 1 pick?
Yeah, well, that's your problem. I don't have that problem.
Yeah. Do I take McCaffrey, though? You feel confident even though he has a, quote, strained calf?
Yeah, I'd still take McCaffrey.
I'm probably leaning that way. Puka Nacua for the Rams had a little bit of a setback in practice, an issue, I believe a lower body issue, a knee injury. But it is believed not to be serious, and there is, quote, no threat of him missing the opener, according to the LA Rams, although I doubt you'll see Puka Nacua in the preseason. That's going to be an interesting dynamic with Nacua and now a fully healthy Cooper Kupp. Who is the number 1 option in LA? Is it Kupp or is it Nacua? Heck, they're both going to be probably top 20 wide receivers in the National Football League. As far as the Jaguars, I asked Doug Peterson yesterday about the injuries on the offensive line. Does that affect his thinking about playing Trevor Lawrence at all Saturday night? And Doug went on the Rich Eisen show today, and I believe told Rich Eisen that the plan right now is 1 or 2 series for Trevor Lawrence and the starting offense. So you will see the Jaguar starters out there for a little bit. I think it would be great if Mahomes and Kelsey and the Kansas City starting offense plays for a series. What a test it would be for Ryan Nielsen and that defense right out of the gate. Now, again, Kansas City will probably keep it pretty vanilla, but that would be pretty nice if Mahomes is out there to test this defense right off the bat in the first week of the preseason. By the way, happy Hard Knocks debuted, all those who observe. A little different this year because we've already had the New York Giants off-season Hard Knocks. The true training camp Hard Knocks begins tonight on HBO, and it's featuring the Chicago Bears. And, of course, Caleb Williams and everything going on in the Windy City. That'll debut on HBO, I believe, at 10 o'clock this evening. Couple of other tidbits from the National Football League. The Brandon Ayuk soap opera will not end. Just simply won't end. He hasn't re-signed. He hasn't been traded, but there are rumblings all over the place of both. Have been rumblings dating back to Jacksonville being in those rumors around the draft. Remember that? Now the, quote, rumor is Cleveland or New England is in on Brandon Ayuk, although our guy, Pretty Ricky Denmark, on Twitter, that guy's been money almost the entire offseason with his prognostications.
Yeah, what do you say?
If you're on social media, you know my guy, Pretty Ricky. And yes, I've talked to him, I've DM'd him, I've exchanged pleasantries with him, I've asked him to come on. He said, nope, I'm boring, I like to stay on social media. But Pretty Ricky, dare I say NFL insider, is still saying Pittsburgh for Brandon Ayuk, and he won't stop saying Pittsburgh. This Pretty Ricky guy, for those of you that don't know, has been right a lot more than he's been wrong. He had the Calvin Ridley to Tennessee stuff, I think, before anybody. It was at that point where I believed in Pretty Ricky. So we'll see what happens with Brandon Ayuk, but he's saying Pittsburgh, and he has said it for a long time. We shall see. Fantasy football season right around the corner. Drafts are cranking up. One of the websites to go to, and it has been for a long time, is footballguys.com. One of their main guys is Dave Kluge. Let's talk Jaguars, and let's talk fantasy draft preparation. Dave Kluge of Football Guys next on Hacker After Dark.
Some situations call for mystery.
Yes, the answer would be...
And sometimes they call for 1010XL.
Bingo.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Jenkins Genesis of Northeast Florida is coming soon and now hiring for technicians, sales, and all positions. If you or someone you know are looking for a new opportunity, apply online at genesisnortheastjacksonville.com. Equal opportunity employer.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, takes the field this season at 1-1 Financial Ballpark as the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Tickets start at just $5, fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids run the bases after every Sunday game. JackShrimp.com. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family fun.
Hey gang, Hicken here for Zero Res. Man, it is hot outside this time of the year. Many of us are staying inside or going to the pool. Well, my friends at Zero Res are also heating things up. As you know, Zero Res does a great job of cleaning carpets and rugs. But they also clean luxury vinyl planking, tile and grout, fine stone and hardwood floors. And right now, the hottest price of the year, 25% off all hardwood cleaning. That's 25% off tile, LVP, fine stone, and hardwood floors. Zero Res, man. Spell it forward. Zero Res, spell it back. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Hicken here for Bout 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bout 9. Visit Bout 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bout 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and it is hot out there. You know that, Greg, but Honda has a plan for you on or off the road.
They do. There's a ton of Honda scooters, Honda mini motos, great for the beach. Also get you out in the woods with a Honda side-by-side. Plenty to do and stay cool.
Yeah, four-wheelers, and you can trick them out.
We can. From stereo systems to big builds, we do it all.
Everything's there for you to see. CyclesofJacksonville.com online or on Atlantic near Regency. Check out Cycles of Jacksonville.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NFL preseason has arrived. The Jaguars play Kansas City on Saturday night. And with the arrival of the NFL preseason, that means the arrival of fantasy football time. Drafts are firing up all over the country and will do so over the next month or so. There's a lot to dive into with the Jaguars and around the league. And with that, one of our guys is Dave Kluge of Football Guys. He does a terrific job covering not only the NFL, but certainly the fantasy landscape. And Dave is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Dave, how we doing?
Doing great, man. This is my favorite time of the year. We finally have one sort of preseason game in our rear view now. I mean, that kind of kicks off the start of the season, so it's going to be here before we know it. It's a fun time of year, just making my rounds, getting to talk to you and other people, sharing the good news about fantasy football.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Our draft is a little earlier than I like it. My main draft is on Saturday just because we have guys traveling in and we had to coordinate everybody's schedule. When do drafts normally take place, Dave? Are we talking early to mid-August? Do a lot of people wait till the end of August? What's your best thought on that?
I think Labor Day weekend is a sweet spot. That's when I see a ton of drafts happening. Like my Labor Day weekends 10 years ago were, floating around on a boat out on a lake somewhere and enjoying the sun. And now it's sitting in front of my sleeper app making my picks. But I think that's a good weekend for it. But, I see a lot of people get upset when there's early off-season drafts or whatever it may be. But the way I see it, like, you're just drafting on an even playing field. Whether you're drafting this weekend or whether you're drafting the day before the season kicks off, you're still drafting with other people who are playing at the same advantage or disadvantage. So I think you just have the draft whenever you want and just have fun and try to space a few out throughout the offseason and preseason.
Well, it wasn't this way a couple of years ago, but there will be a lot of Jaguars that are taken in these fantasy drafts. And, Dave, let's begin right there. General thought. Evan Ingram, ETN, Kirk, who's the first Jaguar usually going off the board this year?
For me, it's Travis Etienne. And I think that there's a lot of uncertainty about who the guy is going to be, the primary target, whether it's going to be Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram like it's been in years past, or whether Brian Thomas can make that jump. So I think that uncertainty, that ambiguity has kind of pushed all the pass catchers down a little bit. But what we saw last year from Travis Etienne was that he had one of the best opportunity shares among all running backs. He was getting carries between the 20s. He was getting carries near the goal line. He was getting pass catching work, kind of checked every single box you want to see from an opportunity standpoint. Of course, the reports are that Tank Bigsby is looking a little bit better this year. And we know that historically, Doug Peterson has liked to lean on a committee approach. So that's the fear with Travis Etienne. But when you start looking around the league right now, almost every backfield is deploying some type of a committee. So, those are the concerns with Travis Etienne, who's going in rounds 3 or 4. But we've got those same concerns about Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson, who are going in round 1. So I'm not putting too much concern into it. Travis Etienne's the first Jaguar that I'm drafting.
Dave Kluge of Football Guys. All right, if Etienne's the first, Evan Ingram then coming off a 114 catch season. Now he didn't break 1,000 yards, but in a PPR league, 114 catches is 114 catches. I would imagine Ingram is going relatively high in the tight end circles, correct?
He is, yeah. And I think, the tight end landscape has just changed so dramatically over the last half decade or so. 5 years ago, it was Travis Kelce or bust. Like, if you didn't have Travis Kelce, you were fighting an uphill battle. And then Mark Andrews broke out. And then TJ Hawkinson was traded to Minnesota, and he broke out there. And then Evan Ingram was traded to Jacksonville, and he broke out there. Then we saw this influx of young guys come into the league, right? We saw Sam Laporta and Trey McBride and Dalton Kincaid. Now all of a sudden, Kyle Pitts, who's a very talented tight end, has a quarterback throwing the ball to him. So, the tight end landscape has changed quite a bit, where last year we saw Travis Kelce going in round 1. We saw Mark Andrews going in round 2. Now, because there are a relatively deep number of good tight ends, we're not seeing the first tight ends go off the board usually until rounds 4 or 5 in drafts. And then we see this run of tight ends from Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, McBride, Kincaid, Kittle, Pitts, Ingram. They all go within kind of a 2-round range of each other. And I think Ingram is kind of one of those guys that you want to draft because if you don't get Ingram before that tight end run ends, then you're at a huge disadvantage. Then you're looking at Jake Ferguson or TJ Hawkinson coming off an ACL tear, or a rookie like Brock Bowers. I think Ingram is kind of the last safe tight end you can get. And I also think he makes for one of the best values. In consensus rankings, he's typically going as the 8th tight end off the board. And like you said, 114 catches last year. He was the tight end 2 in scoring. The year before, he was the tight end 5 in scoring. So we're drafting him right now way below his production over the last couple of years, which tells me that he's a great value.
Dave, you alluded to it earlier. At the wide receiver position, Christian Kirk comes back off of injury. Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. arrive in Jacksonville. The thought is the rapport that Trevor Lawrence has with Kirk would probably lead people to believe that Kirk will be the number 1 target. How have you seen those 3 wide receivers, Thomas, Davis, and Kirk, going in these early drafts?
The order I'm seeing is Kirk, then Thomas, and then Davis. And I think that makes sense because Christian Kirk, I don't think he was ever properly utilized in Arizona. They were using him almost exclusively on downfield routes. And while he can do that, he's such a versatile receiver. His ability to win across the middle of the field, his ability to win on underneath routes, what he can do after the catch. And I think Jacksonville has done a great job really maximizing what he does best. Of course, the concern here is what it's going to look like now with Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis in the mix. But I think Christian Kirk has shown enough during his 2 years in Jacksonville and with his chemistry with Trevor Lawrence that you can still confidently draft him as kind of a back-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3. But again, so much of fantasy football, when we're talking about the game of fantasy football, comes down to value. It's not just how is this player going to perform, it's how is this player going to perform relative to where he's being drafted. And that's why I love drafting Brian Thomas, who's going much later in drafts than Christian Kirk. And, there have been some reports about some ups and downs with Brian Thomas during his first week of camp, but I think that's kind of expected from any rookie. Even if he does get off to a slower start, I think that his skill set, what he does, is so much better for the offense and what they need than what Calvin Ridley was doing in that role last year. So I can see Brian Thomas being a guy who maybe gets off to a slow start in the season, but if he can get it figured out by, the quarterway point of the season, halfway point of the season, I think Brian Thomas is the guy who has the highest ceiling over the second half of the year.
Couple more for Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Dave, I've had you on for years. I'm curious your opinion about Gabe Davis. He just turned 25, right? I mean, literally just turned 25. He's a very young player still. 28 career touchdowns. Now, did he live up to expectations in Buffalo after that Chiefs playoff game? Probably not. But I'm a lot higher on that acquisition than a lot of people outside of Jacksonville are. And I'm just curious the Gabe Davis thought you have as he arrives here with the Jaguars.
I don't want to rain on your parade, but I'm not the biggest fan of Gabe Davis. I think that he, he's big and he's fast. And those are 2 very alluring things to see from an NFL wide receiver. But I think that he's just so limited in what he can do. The struggles with drops are impossible to ignore at this point in his career. And, he can blow the top off of a defense. He's got blazing speed, but that's really all he can do. And I think that he kind of falls on this spectrum of similar wide receivers where he's like not quite as good as maybe a Christian Watson, but he's not quite as bad as a Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but he's somewhere in between those two players on that spectrum for guys that are kind of one-dimensional, digging fast, and they can blow the top off of a defense, but are they always going to catch that ball? Are they going to make yards after the catch? Are they going to be able to do more than that? That's where I kind of question Gabe Davis a little bit. So I think that Gabe Davis, I think if the Jaguars were 100% certain that they were going to land Brian Thomas in the draft, they probably wouldn't have signed Gabe Davis. I think that he's going to end up being a guy who's watching more from the sidelines as Brian Thomas gets more and more comfortable at the NFL level.
Dave, final Jaguar question. I want to branch out in the rest of the league in the time we have left. Trevor Lawrence, obviously quarterbacks. We know Mahomes and Josh Allen, Lamar. I think Anthony Richardson's going to be going very high in these fantasy leagues. Where have you seen Trevor go early on here in these drafts?
You know, he's sliding quite a bit, which is surprising to see. I think Trevor Lawrence, there's a lot of biases that bleed into fantasy football analysis, and the expectations for Trevor Lawrence were so high, getting deemed a generational prospect, number 1 overall pick. And then he had that terrible year one, not even terrible, but relatively terrible. And, in hindsight, we could chalk that up to Urban Meyer, what he was doing with the team. But I think that a lot of fantasy football managers have really struggled to get that distaste from that season out of their mouth. And since then, Trevor Lawrence has been adequate in fantasy. But the numbers just really haven't been there, unfortunately. Now, I think that Trevor Lawrence, the player that I see on film watching, is much better than what the numbers would lead you to believe if you're just looking at the box score. I think that he's a very good quarterback, and he's just had some unlucky drops that have come at inopportune times, and he's had a low touchdown rate. But those are all things that we can see regress in the correct direction going forward. So Trevor Lawrence right now in my rankings, I've got him behind some guys that have been consistent producers over the years. I've got him behind Tua Tagovailoa. I've got him behind Jared Goff, but I've got him ahead of a lot of those aging veterans that people are still reaching for. So I prefer Trevor Lawrence ahead of Kirk Cousins, ahead of Geno Smith, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson. He falls in for me as kind of a high-end QB2, but it's impossible to ignore the ceiling. If the stars align and his receivers start catching passes and he starts regressing towards a better touchdown rate, it's very possible that Trevor Lawrence can vault himself into that top 5 discussion.
Final moments, Dave Kluge of Football Guys. All right, Dave, in the time we have left, let's branch out around the league. Christian McCaffrey, is he the consensus number 1 pick this year in a PPR or even a standard league?
Yeah, no question about it. I talked about Travis Etienne and how there's some concerns about Tank Bigsby cutting into his workload. Well, we've also got reports that Tyler Algier is going to be involved in the Atlanta backfield, and that Braylon Allen is making waves in New York, and he's going to be involved, cutting work away from Breece Hall. What we haven't heard is that Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason or Isaac Orendo or any of these guys are doing anything. It is hands down the Christian McCaffrey show in San Francisco. We're looking at a guy, since he has joined San Francisco, is basically a lock for 20 points and a touchdown every single week. The tough thing when you draft Christian McCaffrey, number 1 overall, is then you're behind at the wide receiver position, and you feel like you're kind of chasing there a little bit. But the advantage that you get from having Christian McCaffrey on your team, it just can't be overstated.
As far as the top 5 after McCaffrey, I think the normal people that I talk to, CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, are they all wide receivers in the top 5 after McCaffrey?
Yeah, no, this is where mine might shake things up a little bit. I think you're right in CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill also being top 3 picks. But for me, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamar Chase both ahead of Justin Jefferson. Now, in a pure vacuum, I think that Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver of the bunch, but with a healthy Joe Burrow coming back for Jamar Chase, I think we see better football from Jamar Chase than we did last year. And then we've seen Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not only has he taken huge strides in his development every single year in the league, but we also have years of proven success with Jared Goff. With Justin Jefferson, like I said, in a vacuum, I think that he's the best wide receiver of the bunch, but I do have some concerns about what a Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy-led offense could look like. So for me, I prioritize safety in the early rounds, and I think that Jamar Chase and Amon-Ra St. Brown are both just a little bit safer than Justin Jefferson.
It's amazing where we are in fantasy football now, Dave, because I remember a time not all that long ago where you wanted to load up on running backs in the first 4 or 5 rounds. Now it's all about receiver, right? I mean, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, because I also want them to know about football guys here in a moment. In the top 4 or 5 rounds, I mean, do you go one running back and the rest receivers? Do you try to sprinkle in a tight end? What would be your formula there?
I don't like spending more than one pick on running back in my first 4 rounds. On the occasions that I do that, where I draft 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds, it feels like you're just constantly fighting an uphill battle at other positions, and you can't really get the value there. So the analogy that I came up with a few months ago, and I've said this a few times, so if anybody listens to my show or has heard me on other shows, they might have heard me say this, but you've been playing fantasy football for a long time. You remember like 10, 12 years ago when everybody said, don't draft any Patriots running backs, because Bill Belichick was running this committee approach where they had their between the tackles guy and they had their pass catching guy and they had their goal line guy. Well, that was the mantra 10, 12 years ago, is don't draft Patriots running backs. Well, guess what? Every single team is running this sort of backfield by committee now. We don't have these backs where it used to be every team had a guy that was going to see 250 plus touches. Now we hardly see anybody getting over that mark. So, that combined with the league leaning a little bit more pass heavy, wide receivers being a little bit easier to project volume on, it just makes more sense that we're starting to lean heavier and heavier towards wide receivers. It's becoming a passing league. We're better at projecting the position. They're less likely to get injured. So it's really tough to pony up for running backs early in drafts, knowing that last year people were winning leagues with Kyron Williams off the waiver wire and Zamir White and Ty Chandler and these kind of no-name guys popping up. I can assure you that's going to happen again this year.
Dave, final question. Settle an argument that I have with my buddies in my league. We use a third-round reversal, and for people that don't know what that is, a normal snake draft is 1 to 12, 12 to 1, and then back 1 to 12. Well, in our league, they've done the analytics on this, and truthfully, these guys are all very smart guys. They say at 1-12, 12-1, 12-1, and then you start the regular snake draft is the fairest way to do it. Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure if you're asking me if I agree with it in the analytical sense, or if I agree with it with my heart, because analytically, yes, a third-round reversal makes it more even for everybody else. But I think fantasy football is fun, and I think one of the most fun parts about fantasy football is determining that draft order, knowing that if you're drafting at the top of the first round, you do get a slight advantage. And then if you draft late in the first round and you're at a disadvantage and you win your league, you get to hang that over your league mates. So if you're looking to make it as fair as possible, yes, a third-round reversal does make it more fair. But I'm not interested in fairness all that much. I like fantasy football to be fun, and I think giving that slight advantage to a handful of drafters just makes the draft experience even that much more fun.
Dave, tell the folks here in Jacksonville about football guys and where they can find you and your analysis.
Yeah, everything's over at footballguys.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Dave Kluge, where I share all the content that we've got coming out. Big year for Football Guys in Fantasy Pros expert consensus rankings. Last year, I finished in second place overall, and we had 2 other gentlemen on our team finish inside the top 15. So you can get some of the most accurate rankings in the industry over at footballguys.com. And then you can check out the show that I'm doing with my friend Alfredo Brown. We're ramping up to 5 episodes a week now. You can find that at youtube.com/@footballguysfantasy.
It is Dave Kluge's time of year, fantasy football time, and we love it. Dave, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out. We'll talk again soon, my friend.
Thank you so much. You have a good one.
Now, a 1010XL Summer Olympic Update brought to you by
USAPark.net Airport Parking.
Westwood One Sports presents this special update on the 2024 Summer Games. It was a big day for the U.S. track and field teams, highlighted by a pair of gold medals, including the first ever for Gabby Thomas in the women's 200 meters.
Tokyo Olympics was a lot of fun, and it was great for me to experience that before coming here. But there is nothing like walking into a stadium of 80,000 people, and they're screaming, and they're right on top of you. So it was definitely very different, but it made it a lot more special when I crossed the line as a champion.
Brittany Brown finished third in the race to claim bronze. The other American gold on the track today came from Cole Hawker, who scored a stunning win in the men's 1,500 meters. Yared Naguse of the U.S. won the bronze. Amit Elor added to the U.S. gold medal count with a win in the women's 149-pound wrestling final. Meanwhile, the men's basketball team, women's soccer team, women's water polo team, and women's volleyball teams all kept their gold medal hopes alive with victories. With this Summer Games update, I'm Ryan Radke, Westwood One Sports.
What's wrong?
My travel rewards card didn't earn enough miles for my vacation.
Are you crying? Are you crying because of that other credit card?
Uh-huh.
Well, switch to the Capital One Venture card. Venture lets you redeem miles on any travel purchase.
Really?
Yep, and you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every single day. The Capital One Venture card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
At Lowe's, save big every day. Right now, get a free pneumatic nailer when you buy a pallet of Metabo HPT nails. Plus, save an extra 5% every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at Lowe's.com/credit for details.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Oh, no.
You okay in there?
Toilet's backed up. It won't flush.
Okay, I'll call the pros.
The tank isn't filling. The handle does nothing. Run for your life.
Don't be so dramatic. Duck Duck Rooter will fix it.
For any plumbing issue, call Duck Duck Rooter, your local plumbing professionals and proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DuckDuckRooter.com.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Blue for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Meet Zara talking about his experience with BioTarget Regenerative Therapy at Injury Care Centers.
I came to Injury Care Centers because I'm an old football player and some of my old injuries were beginning to catch up with me. I couldn't do what I used to do without having severe pain. I felt the improvements from the biotargeting almost immediately. Very few places would guarantee their work because, doctors, they say they're practicing medicine, so you're essentially just an experiment. The folks at Injury Care Centers offering a 100% money-back guarantee lets you know that they take your well-being very seriously.
Stop masking your pain with harmful medications. There's a better solution. BioTarget Regenerative Therapy has helped countless others, and it can help you too. Call 904-92-REGEN or visit GoBioTarget.com today.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Vegas, baby. This is Taylor Dahl from Helmets and Heels, and we're sending one lucky listener to Circa Resort and Casino this December. Win a free 3-night stay with $200 food and beverage credit, plus a daybed at Stadium Swim. With 6 temperature-controlled pools and a massive 143-foot screen at Circa, you'll huddle up with the Heels at the Overhang Bar for our pregame tailgates on Friday with drink specials and giveaways. For a chance to win this all-in package to Circa with Helmets and Heels, enter at 1010XL.com/Vegas.
And if you've already booked your flight to Vegas for the big game and are still searching for accommodations, Circa Resort and Casino has a special rate just for Jacksonville fans. Mia here, and for just $500, get a 3-night stay at Circa, $200 in food and beverage credit, plus a day bed at Stadium Swim. With 6 temperature-controlled pools and a massive screen, it's the world's largest hot tub party. The all-in package is only available till August 30th, so act now. Book and join the Heels in Vegas. Visit CircaLasVegas.com today.
today.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREZ. Zero Res.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.
Window World, simply the best for less. And thank you for your business.
1010XL is presented by Barra & Barra, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
We've done a ton of NFL talk tonight. That will obviously continue. I'll be back down at the Miller Electric Center tomorrow for Jaguar training camp. They have practice tomorrow and Thursday before an off day for at least the media on Friday, because, of course, kickoff on Saturday between the Jaguars and the Chiefs. Speaking of kickoff, we're 18 days away, 2.5 weeks away from the college football season kicking off. Dublin, Ireland, Saturday, August the 24th. Florida State and Georgia Tech will kick off what is the longest, maybe biggest, and maybe most anticipated college football season we've ever had. Now with the 12-team playoff and all the realignment, let's talk Florida. Let's talk Florida State. Let's talk Miami, Georgia, and more with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. It is a Tuesday evening in Jacksonville, Florida, with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
There's a reason why so many people share their mornings with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I'll tell you why.
Well, let me tell.
No, you can't tell
You always tell it.
All right, tell it.
You just tell it.
It's obvious.
These guys are professionals.
Don't touch that!
The Drill, mornings on 1010XL.
Hey there, weekend warriors. It's Matt Hayes. Sick of that slice? Tired of those 3-putts? What if I told you your handicap isn't about your swing, it's about your weight? Why not take strokes off your game by taking pounds off your frame with the Waco 180? We're talking 10 strokes off by August, getting your tour card by September, winning your first major, year one. Think about it. Fame, fortune, and most important, winning $5 off your buddy because you, sir, are closest to the pin. Taking strokes off your game is just about 40 pounds away at Awaken180weightloss.com. Awaken 180 does not guarantee an immediate 10 strokes off your score, receiving a tour card, or the ability to control the weather. Individual results may vary. Your newfound athleticism might cause jealousy among your foursome, leading to accusations of steroid use. Awaken is not responsible for defending your honor in the clubhouse. Awaken 180 cannot guarantee that your newfound golf prowess will lead to a sponsorship deal, but we can't not guarantee it either. Awaken 180 is not responsible for any dramatic fist pumps or unsolicited golf tips you give to strangers. Awaken 180 does not offer refunds for any lost wagers made on your improved golf game. Bet wisely, my friend. Strokes off your game by dropping pounds off your frame. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Care you can see.
The coolers are full at your local Gate gas station, making it easy for you to cruise in and cruise out with little downtime. Ice cold Coronas, Natty Light, Stella Artois, and Michelob Ultra. Don't forget the king of beers, Cold Buds. Gate's got them in the cooler, waiting for you.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, an asphalt marketer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Sheldon Fish. Today's category, air conditioner repair experts in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, I bet it's gonna be Bueller.
Your question. Unlike Jacksonville, the Sahara Desert has a complete lack of air conditioner repair experts. What kind of camels do they ride?
That's not really a question about air conditioner repair.
5 seconds.
But that's a camel question.
Pick a camel, Sheldon.
The Arabian dromedary.
That's right, Sheldon. Like the majestic Arabian dromedary, the skilled technicians at Bueller Air and Plumbing can repair any make and model of air conditioner the same day you call, making sure you are cool.
They don't spit, do they?
No, but Steve, the new guy, has a bit of a hump.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Training camp is about the basics.
Focus on the fundamentals.
Every time something you need to know happens at training camp, you'll hear about it on 1010XL. Brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control and Roland Reach Plumbing.
Mia here. Get it all when you shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Just listen to this. Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That's over 600 vehicles, and they're all in one location. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18,000. Plus, you get Arlington's 60-day exchange program and financing help from their Credit for Everyone program. Shop online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker. Because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
Jags fans, a new Everbank Performance account could be your ticket to London this October. Through the Everbank London Getaway, one lucky winner and a guest will receive round-trip airfare, hotel accommodations, and a pair of tickets to see the Jags play in London. To learn more and for official rules, visit everbank.com/London. No person necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of 50 United States and D.C. 18 or older. Entry period for the Everbank London Getaway Suites is from 8/5/24 to 9/5/24. To enter and for official rules, alternate method of entry, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/London. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
This patriotic chant mirrors the enthusiastic efforts our American athletes have dedicated to their quest for a gold medal at this summer's Olympics in Paris. USAPark.net Airport Parking is your safe and secure parking for when you fly out of JIA. No matter where you're going, whether you're traveling to the Olympics to support our athletes or just visiting Grandma, remember to park at USAPark.net.
RJ Saunders here, sports lovers. I recently took a tip from Frank Frangie when I needed to send flowers to my mother. Frank told me that Kuhn Flowers is the only florist he ever uses. So that's what I do now. I use Kuhn Flowers. Find them online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. Well, we have reached the middle point of August already. I mean, we're only, 18 days away? 18 days away from college football season, if you can believe that. Florida State, the first game out of the gate on Saturday, August the 24th. Florida State, as a matter of fact, is going to be over here in Jacksonville for the next couple of days doing practice here locally. Obviously, we have a coaches poll to discuss. We have potential injury problems already in Gainesville. It's that time of year. There is a lot to get into. And with that, let me welcome in my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, it was great to see you last week at High School Media Day, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, good. It was great to see you, too. And as many people told you, you're half the man you used to be. So I'm proud of you for that. I know life is much easier because of it, but it is not easy for guys who are sweating in the heat. At least we've had a break in the heat for a few days. But yes, it's for anybody who's going through it. And I know you played in high school. Heck, there's nothing easy about these next 2 or 3 weeks. It just, but you got to do it to be ready for the season.
There's no doubt about that. And I was talking to Josh Baker last week. Of course, the good folks at Baker Sports are one of the main companies that put that event on. 17 years of that High School Media Day here in Northeast Florida, which is amazing in and of itself. And you think about the talent this year, Brent. I go to Mandarin, and I got to tell you, man, those 3 kids I talked to last week, Drake Stubbs, a safety who's committed to Miami. Obviously, Tramel Jones, the quarterback, committed to Florida State. Jamie French, the 5-star all-world wide receiver, is going to commit on August 30th. He's down to Tennessee, Texas, LSU, and Miami. I know they talk to a lot more media now than certainly people did when I was in high school. But, Brent, I was amazed, and I mean this. This is not hyperbole. I was amazed at how polished, how polite, how awesome those young men were last week when interacting with us at Media Day.
A lot of those guys, when they have that much talent or really starting to talk to people, I don't think it's necessarily in junior high, but it's close. What they're able to do and how they're able to deal with the media. And, look, that's part of their job. And the sooner they learn that, the better they're going to be. It is to be respectful, to be able to put their thoughts together and to be able to deal with people. But they know in this day and age that getting their message, and they've all got one, whether they realize it or not, is certainly important to them. So, no, I think you're right. And probably social media to a degree teaches them how to deal with people in different circumstances. So, you're right about that. It's a different athlete than it was a few years ago.
I remember being 18 years old. I wasn't doing what these kids are doing. Lump Solomon Thomas in there as well, the big offensive lineman out of Rains. And it just goes to show you, Brent, we got 4 players in the top 250 nationally here locally, 3 in the top 100. There is a ton of talent, again, here in Northeast Florida, and I know I speak for you in echoing these sentiments. We want people to get out under those Friday night lights because the high school football this year is going to be fantastic.
Look, even just the time that we had, I mean, to see what I was told this range team could be as good as anything they've had before. It's really amazing what the powerhouse at Mandarin has become, even under various coaches. So Matt with Bowles, Toblin, and he has got another good team coming up. They started slow and they really ended well last year. Again, a lot of the same teams, but yet there's some sprinkle in there too. So that it's going to be a fun season. Yes.
You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. All right, Brent, earlier this week, the USA Today preseason coaches poll came out. I guess nothing really surprising at the top. Your top 5, Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, and Alabama 5. I guess the thing that stood out to me, well, a couple of things. Florida State, number 10 on this list in the preseason coaches poll. Miami comes in at 19. And of the preseason top 25, 8 of them are on the Florida Gators schedule this year. Unbelievable.
It is. There's no doubt about that. Now, I think the questions that I had was Notre Dame being as high as they are. Now, obviously, they have now lost a couple of their linemen, which is a real shame. Marty R. and particularly Charles Jaguars, who was their starting left tackle. So that's a rough way to begin. And I mean, Penn State's up there again, and they rarely ever follow through with that. All in all, I mean, I thought Utah probably should have replaced Notre Dame, frankly, and they were 13th. Miami at 19th. That's ranked a little low. But again, and let's be honest about this, the coaches poll is basically the SIDs at these schools that put this together, and the coach checks it off. I mean, realistically, coaches, unless they do this really early, don't have the time to sit down and to pour over this. But again, the thing we've got to realize is it's not the top 4 to 8 anymore. It's the top 12 are going to the playoffs, and then you can throw in another 8. So you're looking at, and this is what's going to be exciting about the playoffs. The top, I mean, instead of dealing with like 8 teams in November, we're probably going to be dealing with like 20. And how much more exciting is college football going to be in November this year?
No, there's no question about it. Again, I think it's the biggest, most anticipated college football season ever. It's certainly the longest. I mean, it starts, like we said, on August the 24th. The national champion's not crowned until January 20th. I mean, you're talking basically 5 months of college football. Another thing about the poll, and shifting gears to Florida a little bit, as we said, 8 of the coaches poll preseason top 25, 8 of them are on the Gators schedule. You know, everybody's pointing to those 2 big home games early in the season, Miami and Texas A&M. We know the rivalry aspect with Miami, the huge game, Cristobal versus Napier. I've made the argument, I think A&M is as big, if not bigger, because that will be game 3 for Mike Elko. It's year 3 for Billy Napier. Obviously, if you lose to Mike Elko in his 3rd game, his first SEC game as head coach, that's going to be a pretty big red flag. Yet Florida's going to be the underdog, it appears, in both games, as both Miami and A&M are in the preseason top 20.
Well, that might motivate them, too. That's really ironic that it's 19 and 20 for Miami and A&M, but there's no doubt. And look, again, in the top, their first 5 games, the Gators should be 5-0 or 4-1. That doesn't mean that they will. But see, the thing they've got to be careful is, I think they'll be ready to play those games. Heck, what concerns me is them taking the day off, going to Mississippi State, and also UCF. And look, you're not going to get fired for losing to Miami and A&M. What you get fired for would be losing to what we just said with the Mississippi State or UCF.
And I know some UCF alumni. That's their Super Bowl. Going to Gainesville in the regular season, they are putting a lot of eggs in that basket. The UCF is going to be very fired up for that contest. A couple of more for Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, we talked about injury problems for Florida. Montrell Johnson, a procedure, I guess, is what it's being referred to as with the knee. Now, from what I've been told and what I've gathered, it might not be as serious as you would first think when you hear about a running back and a knee injury. yet he is going to be out. He is going to miss some time. The expectation, I believe, is he will be ready for Miami on the 31st of August, and that's the hope, but clearly not good news for the Gators because Montrell Johnson is maybe the most valuable part of their offense coming into the year.
Well, I think he's certainly been the most consistent, frankly, along with Mertz. But I agree with you that they really need him to be ready to go with that too. Now, it's obviously going to give some of these other running backs like Ball a chance to get in there and a chance to show what he can do. So that's going to be very important for them. But yes, Montrell. When I first saw the headlines, I couldn't help but sigh. But then to see that it was week to week is a much better situation. Look, this is a sermon on another day. How many players, because of our advanced surgeries like knee scoping, have basically saved their careers?
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no question. And the way technology is today in science and medicine, it's absolutely wild how quick some of these guys come back from injuries that would take them a considerable amount of more time, even as recently as 5 or 10 years ago. Quickly with Florida, too, I mean, the dynamic between Mertz and Lagway is certainly one to follow. And I think the dynamic at that wide receiver position, Ricky Pearsall's gone. How do you replace him? Well, you replace him with Eugene Wilson. That's the idea. There's a couple of transfers they got as well are going to play a big role. I'm very curious to see the skill position because, again, they don't start with Ball State, right? They don't start with Western Carolina. These young kids and these inexperienced skill position guys, I mean, right out of the gate, Miami, 3:30, almost a must-win scenario. A lot of pressure for these guys that haven't done a lot in the world of college football.
Well, that might either scare them to death or really motivate them. When you're thinking about this, the importance of having some of these inexperienced guys, your offensive line has really got to come through. That's going to be huge for the Gators, Damian George, Austin Barber. Those are guys who've really got to be able to step up. I think the tight ends, don't you, Hack, have got to step up and provide. I mean, Arliss Boardingham is one of these guys. I mean, he had nearly 300 yards receiving. I mean, he's the kind of guy that can take some pressure off. I mean, you want a stat after the game for Arliss of 6 for 75, and including maybe a touchdown and a couple first downs with that. But yeah, I agree with that totally. And the Webb kid, who's a transfer at running back, got to help. Adian Mizell, Marcus Burke, too. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm betting you saw this too, and I'll be quick about it. Man alive, the videos that they provide, and Lagway's been in a few of them. I mean, heck, people who may have noticed that. I mean, he absolutely laid the ball in the hands of his receiver, and they were 40 and 50 yards down the field. Man alive, look, he's going to have to learn the ropes, but, boy, he could be special in time, couldn't he?
There's no doubt about that, and a lot of people are anxious to see what they do with DJ Lagway, but certainly Graham Mertz, it's his team, but make no doubt, Lagway will get some run this year as a true freshman. Wrapping things up with Brent Beard. All right, Brent, Florida State, I believe, is in town tomorrow and Thursday. They normally come to Jacksonville for a couple of practices, but as I mentioned at the top, you look at that calendar, we're 18 days away from Georgia Tech. I mean, I imagine they're traveling over to Dublin, Ireland, certainly a few days before that.
Yes.
We're probably 2 weeks away from them getting on a plane and heading on over to the game. What do you got for Florida State camp as they move over here to Jacksonville for the next couple of days?
They actually had a scrimmage over the weekend, and that's what you do when you're playing early. I mean, it wasn't real clean, but they got a lot done. Mike Norvell was, I think, overall pleased about the scrimmage. They talked a lot about some guys that we'll be hearing a lot from. Patrick Payton, the defensive end, Darrell Jackson, the defensive tackle, and Josh Farmer, all have had their moments. DJ Uyunglele has been pretty solid so far, and that they need Brock Glenn. Also, Luke Kromenhog. Those are guys who are getting a little bit of time. Also, Amory Williams, the tight end, I think is doing okay. So I think they were pretty happy with the scrimmage. But yes, and we need to make probably a bigger deal out of that. That they actually come over here, and for lack of a better word, just kind of have a basic training with at UNF. That's been a good partnership. Been glad that's happening this week.
Yeah, no, that's a recruiting tool. There's no question about that.
No doubt.
So Florida State, kudos to them for doing that. Quickly, Brent, we got about 90 seconds here. We'll do more of this as we get closer to the game. You know, we talk about Florida State kicking off the year against Georgia Tech, and I'm not going to pretend to say that I'm, abreast of Georgia Tech's, roster as far as depth chart and whatnot. But I do know Georgia Tech went into Miami last year, even though that was the game that Cristobal screwed up. Georgia Tech went into Miami and beat them. I mean, does Florida State have to be careful over there in Dublin in 18 days?
Yeah, I think you've got to, particularly on the first game, because there's a tendency to make a lot of mistakes in the first game. But what's unusual about Florida State, their first two games are conference games with Georgia Tech and Boston College, at Boston College being on Labor Day night. So they'll have a little bit of time off of that. Yeah, absolutely, they've got to be careful. And look, Tech's a better team than people realize. Brent Key's done a good job with them. He actually wants to be there. Haynes King, you remember that name?
Yeah.
From A&M, is their quarterback. But to your point, they were better last year, and Florida State's got to be careful about that. I tell you what's an early game they've really got to be careful about. We'll have plenty of time with this later. Is Memphis. Memphis is predicted to be a playoff team, believe it or not. So, yeah, there's some mystery and some caution for Florida State coming up.
The Memphis-Florida State game to me is very similar to UCF-Florida. That's Memphis' Super Bowl, right? To go to Florida State, play their old coach, and have an opportunity to knock them off. So, yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I always agree it's a great time to have Brent Beard on. You get him on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, thank you as always. We'll do it again next week.
Always enjoy it, pal. Take care.
Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. You look at that calendar, we are 18 days away from the college football season beginning with Florida State and Georgia Tech. And that Florida State game's interesting. Again, Brent Key's done a nice job with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech went to Coral Gables last year and beat Miami, although that was the game that Cristobal just made a mess out of at the end. But that's not a Georgia Tech team. It's going to be a pushover. So Florida State, it's going to be weird too, right? Being in Dublin, Ireland. I mean, to kick off the year a week early. Just be careful if you're Florida State. Be careful. They should win, but just don't take Georgia Tech for granted by any stretch of the imagination. We did a lot tonight here on Hacker After Dark, and we talked college ball with is out. Everybody loves Georgia. Like the teams this year that everybody loves, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, right? Then you get down to Alabama, probably at 5. The cool thing and the great thing about where we are in college football now is that you got to list 6 or 7 more that will make a 12-team playoff. There's such a gigantic difference between a 4-team playoff and a 12-team playoff. And for the first time, we finally get that 12-team playoff that everybody's looking forward to. Another thing that really stood out to me about the coaches poll when it comes to the Florida Gators were really 2 things. Number 1, of the preseason top 25, 8 of those teams are on Florida's schedule, which is absolutely wild. And those 2 humongous home games between Miami and Texas A&M for the Gators, both of those teams are in preseason top 20 in that coaches poll. So it's going to be a tough putt. We've talked about it all offseason. We are now 25 days away from the Gator season getting underway, and we will see how Billy Napier and Florida navigate what I believe is the hardest football schedule, at least on paper, that they've ever had at the University of Florida. We will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday. We will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. I'll be back down at the Miller Electric Center tomorrow for Jaguar practice. We'll bring you all the news and notes there. Also scheduled to talk with safety Terrell Edmonds. Interesting story, Terrell Edmonds, a guy that started games for both Philadelphia and Tennessee last year at safety. If you'll remember, he was included in the Kevin Byard trade. Byard to Philadelphia, Edmonds came to Tennessee. Signs here, no one's really talking about Edmonds, but now with the Dewey Wingard injury, we'll see what happens. So I'm looking forward to that conversation and checking out training camp tomorrow. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always, my man. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM.
Blue for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering